My neighbor complained to the HOA that my kids left chalk drawings on the sidewalk. He said it was graffiti. I asked him why he was targeting us. He said, "People like you don't keep neighborhoods nice." That night, I contacted a lawyer. What I found in his past shocked me. I live in Jackson, Mississippi. It's not the biggest city, but it has that kind of southern neighborhood charm: quiet streets, front porches, people who nod when they walk by even if they don't really know you. We moved here 5 years ago from Memphis. I work in logistics, my wife Tara's a nurse. We found a good little house on Oakwood Drive. We thought we were done with loud cities, done with drama. Our kids, Emma and Lucas, are your typical kids. Emma's 7. She's loud and sweet and always drawing things. Lucas is 5. He mostly copies his sister and laughs a lot. They both love sidewalk chalk. Every spring, when it's finally warm and dry, they cover the walkway in front of our house with colors, hearts, stick people, words like HI, and be happy. That kind of thing. It washes away when it rains. Last Tuesday, around 3 p.m., they were outside drawing again. I was inside finishing some emails, and Tara had just gotten home from a long shift. She was upstairs showering. I brought the kids some lemonade and sat on the porch while they worked on their mural, as they called it. That's when Mr. Wallace showed up. He's our next-door neighbor. Retired, maybe in his 70s. Always wears polo shirts tucked into khakis like he's going to a golf meeting, even just to check the mail. He walked up his driveway like he was on a mission. His step slow but sharp. He stopped right where our lawns meet. Arms crossed. "What are they doing?" he asked, not looking at me, looking down at my kids. Emma didn't catch the tone. "We're drawing the sidewalk." "It's graffiti," he said, his voice low but bitter. Lucas froze mid-drawing. Emma looked confused. I stood up. "It's chalk," I said. "It washes off." He narrowed his eyes. "Still makes the neighborhood look trashy." I felt my face heat up. "They're kids," I said. "It's harmless." Then he said it, flat, clear, like he'd rehearsed it, "People like you don't keep neighborhoods nice." I just stood there for a second. I didn't know if I heard him right. I stared at him. "What did you say?" He didn't repeat it. Just turned around and went into his house. No goodbye. No explanation. Just the screen door slamming shut behind him. I stood there for another full minute. Emma tugged on my sleeve and asked, "Are we in trouble?" "No," I said. But my voice cracked a little. That night, Tara and I sat in the kitchen. She was quiet for a while, then said, "So that's how it is now?" He actually said it, I told her. Not even under his breath. "You think it's just about chalk?" "No," I said. "I don't. We're a mixed family. I'm black, Tara's white. Our kids are a mix of everything that makes America, and we love them more than anything. We'd never had any direct problems with neighbors before. But we'd seen the way some of them looked at us. We just never had proof. Until now." I called an old friend that night, Derek. He's a lawyer now, works civil rights cases. I told him the story. He paused, then said, "This might sound dumb, but... You ever run a public record check on this guy?" "No." "Should I?" "I would." He showed me how to dig through property records, civil filings, old court documents. I stayed up past 2 a.m. clicking through PDFs and archived links. Some of it was routine, property disputes, noise complaints, even an old tree trimming feud with a neighbor. But then I found a court filing from 1994. Mr. Wallace had been fired from a managerial position at a small insurance company. The reason? Racial discrimination. He'd written multiple internal emails calling a black employee unfit for the office and a danger to company culture. He tried to sue for wrongful termination and lost. There was more. In 1998, he filed a complaint against a school for lowering standards to accommodate changing demographics. His words. It didn't stop there. There were at least 2 neighborhood disputes from his previous address in Arkansas. One involved a family who accused him of trying to block their fence permit because their yard decorations were unsightly. The family was Latino. By 3 a.m., my hands were shaking. The next morning, I sat in my car before work, engine off, staring at the court documents I'd printed out. They were right there in black and white. This man had a history, longer than I'd expected, uglier than I'd imagined. It wasn't just a one-off comment. This was a pattern. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do yet, but I knew I couldn't let it go. That night, I told Tara everything I'd found. Her face got tight. So he's been like this for decades, she said. And nobody's ever done anything. I think they tried. He's just careful. Doesn't leave enough to stick. We sat in silence for a minute. Then she said, "What do we do?" "I think we go to the HOA. Now, our HOA isn't some massive corporate office. It's a 3-person committee of neighbors, including a woman named Heather who lives down the block and runs a candle business out of her garage." I didn't expect them to care about chalk, but I figured if they were going to hear Wallace's side, they should hear ours too. I emailed Heather, attached photos of the chalk drawings, and asked for a meeting. She wrote back that Wallace had already submitted a formal complaint. Said we were damaging the integrity of the neighborhood. No mention of what he'd said to me. Just vague language and words like defacement and pattern of behavior. I replied with my own statement and attached the public court records. I told them plainly, I believe Mr. Wallace is targeting us because of our family's background. And I can prove he has a documented history of this behavior. 2 days later, we had a sit-down in Heather's living room. She brought cookies. Wallace showed up in a tucked-in shirt and fake politeness. "I just think the rules apply to everyone," he said. "No matter who they are." I said nothing for a second. Just looked at him. Then I laid it out. I handed each person a folder with copies of everything, his lawsuit, his quotes, the neighborhood complaints. Heather looked through the pages and didn't say much. But her eyes kept going back to one line, a danger to company culture. Wallace's face got red. "These are decades old," he said, suddenly louder. "Irrelevant. I've been a respectful member of this community. You said my kids were defacing the sidewalk. You said people like us don't keep neighborhoods nice." His mouth opened, then closed again. Heather cleared her throat. "I think we need to discuss this privately." The meeting ended early. Tara and I walked out without a word. I could feel the air had shifted, though. He wasn't untouchable anymore. 3 days later, a quiet email went out from the HOA. "We will not be pursuing any action related to the chalk drawings. All residents are reminded to treat their neighbors with kindness." But it didn't stop there. The following week, someone left a typed note on our porch. No return address. It read, "You should be grateful anyone even lets your kind live here. Keep pushing, and you'll regret it." That changed everything. I showed the note to Tara. She didn't say anything at first. Just read it twice, then folded it slowly and set it down on the counter. "Do you think it was him?" she asked. "Who else?" I said. "It's typed. No fingerprints. No handwriting. Just a threat." She nodded. "We should file a report." I agreed. The next day, I took the note to the local police station. Not that I expected much, but I wanted it on record. The officer behind the desk took my statement, asked if we had cameras. We didn't, at least not then. But by the following weekend, we did. I installed 3 security cameras, one on the porch, one by the driveway, one facing the sidewalk. They weren't hidden. I wanted Wallace, and anyone else watching, to know we were done staying quiet. For a few weeks, things were calm. Wallace didn't speak to us. Didn't even look our way when we passed. The kids still drew chalk. I encouraged it. I even bought more, every color they wanted. Then, one morning, around 6 a.m., I got a motion alert on my phone. I checked the footage and there he was. Wallace, standing at the edge of our walkway. He wasn't on our property technically, but he was close. Real close. He bent down, picked something up, looked at our porch camera, and walked off. I checked the yard. Nothing missing. Nothing moved. Just that eerie moment. Like he was sending a message. Tara watched it and said, "He's testing us." I think he already crossed the line. That's when I reached back out to Derek, my lawyer friend. I told him everything. The chalk, the HOA complaint, the threats, the footage. I asked what we could actually do. Derek paused and said, "You ever think about going public?" "What do you mean?" "Sometimes the law moves slow. But public pressure? That can move fast." He helped me draft a statement. Nothing emotional. Just facts. I posted it on the neighborhood Facebook group, alongside screenshots of the court filings and a still from the video of Wallace at 6 a.m. The post went viral, at least by local standards. Dozens of comments, shares. Some people defended him, but a lot didn't. I always felt something off about him. He tried to report my teen daughter for walking home with headphones. He told us to tone down our Christmas decorations last year. We're Jewish. The tide turned fast. A week later, Wallace's house got a for sale sign in the yard. But the story didn't end there. Not even close. Because just when we thought he was backing down, a new complaint was filed. With the city, not the HOA. This time, it wasn't about chalk. It was about unpermitted surveillance equipment facing public areas. He was trying to get our cameras taken down. The city complaint was a low move. But it made sense, he was trying to flip the story. Make us look like the aggressors. I got the notice in the mail. It said there had been a formal concern filed about improper surveillance potentially violating privacy of passers-by. I had 30 days to respond or risk a fine. I called the city office. Explained everything. Told them the cameras were motion activated, clearly visible, and only faced public areas and our own property. They said they'd send someone to inspect the positioning. It was ridiculous, but I knew what he was doing, pushing, trying to wear us down with bureaucracy. That night I pulled the footage from our camera again. I went back through the week, looking for anything else. And that's when I found it, 3 nights earlier, 2:13 a.m. Our trash bins were tipped over. Just ours. No wind, no raccoons. Just someone walking by in a hoodie and gloves, face hidden. They knocked over the cans, kicked one hard enough it hit our fence, and walked off. Fast. No hesitation. I zoomed in, paused the footage frame by frame. The build, the shoes, the way he moved, it was Wallace. I couldn't prove it 100%, but I was sure. I sent the clip to Derek. He called me 20 minutes later. "This guy's got a pattern. Harassment, intimidation, and now trespassing. You ready to go further?" "What's further?" "A civil harassment restraining order. And if you're serious, defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress. I'll help you build the case." It was a big step. I sat with it for a few days. Talked it through with Tara. "Do you want to fight him?" she asked. "Really fight?" "I don't think we have a choice anymore." So we filed. The paperwork alone took hours. Derek handled most of the language. We included everything: photos, documents, videos, the note, the city complaint, even screenshots of his past incidents. Once it was submitted, Wallace had to be served. That happened on a Tuesday morning. I was sipping coffee on the porch when the processor walked up to his door. Wallace answered in a robe, took the envelope without a word, and shut the door hard enough I felt it in my chest. That night, he stood in his window for a full 5 minutes, staring out. I didn't blink. I wanted him to see me see him. A week later, his for sale sign came down. He wasn't moving. Instead, he filed a counterclaim. His counterclaim was laughable, but serious enough to make things messy. He accused us of public defamation, character assassination, and inciting harassment by weaponizing community bias. He actually used those words. This from the same man who called my kids' chalk drawings graffiti. It was a delay tactic. He didn't want to win. He just wanted to drag us through court, waste our time, break us down. He wanted to make us feel like maybe we should have just stayed quiet. But by now, I was in too deep to stop. We lawyered up harder. Derek pulled in a colleague who specialized in anti-slap motions, laws designed to protect people from retaliation when they speak out. The filings went back and forth. Each new document from his side was nastier than the last. He claimed emotional distress, loss of reputation, alienation from long-standing neighbors. That last part actually made me laugh. No one even talked to him before this. Then something unexpected happened. Heather, the HOA chair, reached out privately. She'd been quiet since the Facebook post went up, but now she wanted to meet. We sat down at a coffee shop. She looked tired, almost nervous. I probably should have said something earlier, she told me. I've had issues with him too. She pulled out her phone and showed me texts from 3 years ago. Wallace had complained to her about another neighbor who had too many visitors, saying the traffic was disruptive. The neighbor? A black single mother with 2 teen sons. She told me she never brought it to the HOA officially, but the messages always bothered her. Now, she said, she felt ashamed she hadn't done more. I can give a statement, she said. If it helps. It helped. A lot. Her testimony, along with everything we'd collected, painted a clear picture, not of one isolated incident, but a pattern of behavior that spanned decades, states, and communities. But Wallace wasn't backing down. In fact, he got bolder. We started getting strange mail, flyers from anti-surveillance groups, weird handwritten pamphlets about neighborhood control. Some were borderline threatening, full of paranoid language. One of them said, "Cameras invite violence." And then, one night, we woke up to the sound of glass breaking. Our porch light was shattered. The kids were asleep, but Tara and I were shaking. I called the cops. They came out, took a report, looked at the footage. It was the same hooded figure as before. They still couldn't confirm it was Wallace. But now, with the restraining order in process, that video mattered. It was intimidation, again. And it was helping prove our case. We gave it to our lawyer. And while the legal wheels turned slowly, something else happened, something we didn't plan. Neighbors started talking. Not just online, but in person. On sidewalks. At the grocery store. At the park. People we'd barely spoken to before came up and told us they were with us. A couple said they had stories too, small ones, quiet ones, things they'd brushed off because they didn't want to rock the boat. Turns out, Wallace had been pushing people for years. Just quietly enough that nobody pushed back. Until now. The restraining order went through, eventually. Wallace doesn't come near our property anymore. He still lives next door, blinds always drawn, porch untouched. Some days, I catch myself watching his house, waiting for something. Other days, I forget he's even there. The kids still draw on the sidewalk. I don't stop them. But I think about it every time. And sometimes, when I'm cleaning up their chalk or locking the door at night, I hear that line again, "People like you don't keep neighborhoods nice." I don't think I'll ever forget it. Not because it hurt. But because now, every time I hear it in my head, I know exactly who was keeping this place ugly all along.